process of starting your own business? Ever thought about it but just haven't started? Whether you are a seasoned professional or just kicking off your dream of becoming an independent business owner, you are invited to join us for this incredible journey. Discover and become a part of this diverse group of women who aim to support, inspire, uplift, and encourage like-minded women just like you within our Lady Preneur-100 community. We're going to remove for you the mystique of entrepreneurship, show you how to increase your leads, effectively market your business, and teach you how to build a powerful strategic alliance. You can find us on Facebook by going to the IB Network or by visiting us at our website, www.successradio.us. You can also find our show on TuneIn Radio by searching for the Lady Preneur-100 Show. That's Lady Preneur-100. Be sure to follow us there.
Joining us today on Ladypreneur. I'm your Ladypreneur, Kym Welton, and I want to talk just a little bit today about building a business and what that looks like. And we call it minding your business. And what exactly does that mean? We have a lot of folks out there who have been interested in starting their own business, and they get things kicked off, and then it becomes just a little bit more work than what they actually realize. We get a lot of questions. So I brought in my amazing business partner and my husband, Tom Welton. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
And I want to, we have folks that come in and they'll say, hey, I've always wanted to start my own business. I don't know where to start. And Tom, what are some of the things that you initially ask folks right out of the gate when they talk to you about entrepreneurship?
Well, I think you need to find something that you're passionate about. You need to be excited about it. I see a lot of people, they try and start a business in something that it doesn't excite them, but they think that it's going to be lucrative. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't have your passion, it's not going to hold your interest long enough to get through, the ups and downs and the tough times of business. And so right out of the gate, I would ask people, what are you passionate about? Maybe it's helping people, or it's serving the community, or it's trying to fill a need or a void in what people have, and then once you've done that, then the next step is exactly that, is you've got to find out, are you filling a need for people, whether it's a product or a service or something like that. There's got to be a need filled if you're going to have sustainable growth and revenue in there. I see a lot of people, they'll come up with an idea for a new product or a new idea, but it's just not sustainable. So they may come out of the gate pretty fast for the first few months, but then ultimately it just doesn't last long enough for them to build a really big business that's going to last for, years, if not decades.
Well, we talk to people about, chasing their passion and not their paycheck, and making sure that this is something that they're going to thoroughly enjoy, that it's long-term, that they can encourage other people to either support it or be a part of it, or want to be a client of those products or services. And there's a lot of network marketing out there, direct sales, multi-level marketing. And I think that those businesses offer a lot of opportunity for maybe the stay-at-home mom, or maybe somebody who's been out of the workforce for a period and wants to kind of get back in, or maybe they had traditional work in the past, but now, they've been out of the workforce for so long and they want to get into something new. And with these companies, they're really able to build something for themselves. And what do you think about when you have somebody who's never been, in a traditional, work environment? They haven't been, they've been out for a while wanting to start their own business. What are some of the things that they really need to keep in mind as they venture down that road?
Well, that's a great question. And the problem I see quite often is people think that if they're in a network marketing business or a work from home business or something like that, that it's different. And it's not. It's still business. And that's where most people make mistakes, is they treat it differently. Mm-hmm. And you can't. Business is business is business. It always has been. It always will be. And the most successful people you see in those kind of businesses are the ones that run it like a real business, right? They pay attention to their expenses. They're constantly trying to grow their leads. They pay attention to their marketing. marketing. They're utilizing social media. They run a business the proper way. They're tracking their inventory. They're tracking their overhead. They're doing all these different things. And that's how they're able to create a successful business, even if it's not your typical brick and mortar type business. And so I always encourage people, day one, you've got to learn business, understand business, and then treat your business like any other business. I don't care what it is. I remember, 15 years ago, having an eBay business was the big thing. There was a lot of stay-at-home people who were trying to get an eBay business going. Unfortunately, nowadays, big box America has kind of taken that over now. And if you're not, selling 10,000 items, you don't even get seen on eBay. But, at the time, a lot of people were making a lot of money with eBay stores. And it's because they were running it like a business. It wasn't like a hobby. I always say, if you run your business like a hobby, it's going to pay you like a hobby. And we know how that works, right? Most hobbies cost money. Right. If you run your business like, a job, it's going to pay you like a job does. But if you run it like a business, it pays you like an entrepreneur.
And do you think that sometimes when people hear the terms work from home or your own schedule or a very part-time basis, that they automatically think, well, I can just do this in my spare time, but then perhaps have unrealistic expectations of where that business can actually take them?
Yeah, absolutely. Most of the time, in their mind, work and home rarely go together. I think when people say work from home, they have this idea of this fantasy world where they make millions of dollars, sitting with a laptop on their couch. And there are ways to do that. But for the most part, to me, when somebody says work from home, it means, I get to work my own schedule, right? I get to determine my hours, things like that. But for most people, they're not disciplined enough to work from home. You got to get out of the house. I'm not disciplined enough to work from home. I've tried working from home. It doesn't work. There's too many TVs and yard work and a pool table and all the other things that are going to keep me distracted. And so I have to get out of the office. Now I don't need to go to a brick and mortar building. I can go to a coffee shop. I can go to places like that. And I think that's really taken off too, is, the coffee shops of the world have really opened the door for entrepreneurship to be able to flourish if you take advantage of that. You and I go to coffee shops all the time, and we are constantly running into business owner friends doing the exact same thing. All those tables around there, you're seeing somebody with their phone and their laptop and a cup of coffee making money. And so, I just caution people to work from home. Make sure you understand what that really means.
And then I know for myself, if I stayed at home, because we have an office at home, but the few things that will absolutely happen is it will be immaculate. I will have clean laundry. I will have all of my chores.
Dinner will be made.
Dinner's going to be, which it is all the time, but
the gym,
that'll be the prime. I will be playing golf, and I'll come up with all these reasons why working from home is not work, but then I'm actually working. So I get confused with spending time and actually working, right? So we talked a little bit about people confusing activity with actual work, right? So some folks I know, for example, if you have a job, more or less, you have to be there at a specific time. Right. And you have to be there for a specific duration of however many days you work out of that week. So people get up, they get ready, they get everything done, and they manage their time when they have a job working for somebody else. However, they start their own business and suddenly they go, well, I really like to sleep till 10 and I'm not really any good to anybody until 1 o'clock. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look around my social media and quote unquote prospect. And at the end of this quote unquote work day, they have nothing to show for it. But they feel like they've been really, really busy. And that's where the lack of direction and goals come in. Right. And that's where the leadership needs to come in and say, hey, let's have a regimented day where every day you have a schedule. Every day you have goals. Every day we're trying to get you better. But what I see a lot of people really struggling in that area. Right. And so when we have people coming in and they go, well, I've been working so hard and I'm frustrated and I've been doing all this work. But when you really break it down, they're not doing a whole lot. Right. So what do you see, when you have a guy or a girl coming in and saying, man, coach, I've been working so hard and I'm just not getting anywhere?
Well, I think it's a couple things. I heard a long time ago, it's not the work that you do, it's the work that gets done.
Right.
It's so what actually got accomplished today. People got to focus on that. You talked about that, having goals, having daily expectations, having a schedule. I hear so much. It's the when and then, right? Mm-hmm. When this happens, then this will happen, right? When I can go full time, then I'm going to do great in this business. When, the kids' sports is over, then I'm going to go make $1 million. And it never happens that way. You got to forget about the when and then. It's right now. And so you just have to have expectations. But I think most people struggle because they have no schedule in their life. It's why, the gym routine doesn't work for most people across the country, right? They wanted to go to the gym. They had full intentions of going to the gym. Right. Why did they not? Because they ran out of time. Because it wasn't a priority. And the same thing happens with business, right? While I wanted to work on my business today, but, my job and kids and the car and all these things got in the way, tomorrow I'm going to get it done, right? It's the when and then. And so making it a priority, having it a schedule that, hey, listen, Tuesday from 9 in the morning till noon, I work on my business. I don't take phone calls from people. I don't go have lunch with people. I don't watch TV. That's my priority. That's when I'm going to work my business. And when people start to do that, they really start to have much more success.
I love it. Mind Your Business is the title of today's show, and we're going through just a few nuggets that we can share with our listeners out there who are maybe starting a business, have a business, whether it's a direct sales business or a traditional business, brick and mortar. There's a few tricks to the game, and we want to share those with you. We're going to go into networking next and how to effectively network. We've all been to those networking groups, right? How to take something away, do the one-on-one effectively so it's win-win for each of you. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Lady Preneur-100 on Success Radio USA, part of the Internet Broadcasting Network. You can find and follow your favorite shows on TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, Internet Radio, Spreaker, and SoundCloud. Just search for your favorite shows by name and be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast website. Thank you for listening and sharing with your friends and coworkers, and thanks for supporting Success Radio USA.
Are you in the process of starting your own business? Ever thought about it but just haven't started? Whether you are a seasoned professional or just kicking off your dream of becoming an independent business owner, you are invited to join us for this incredible journey. Discover and become a part of this diverse group of women who aim to support, inspire, uplift, and encourage like-minded women just like you within our Lady Preneur-100 community. We're going to remove for you the mystique of entrepreneurship, show you how to increase your leads, effectively market your business, and teach you how to build a powerful strategic alliance. You can find us on Facebook by going to the IB Network or by visiting us at our website, www.successradio.us. You can also find our show on TuneIn Radio by searching for the Lady Preneur-100 Show. That's Lady Preneur-100. Be sure to follow us there.
And welcome back to Lady Preneur-100. I'm Kym Welton, your host, and we're talking today to Tom Welton, my best friend, my business partner, and of course I learn from him every day in building our business. And we get asked a lot of questions, and that's why we're having this show today. The show is titled Mind Your Business, and what we're doing is we're really getting to some of those questions that people have asked. Follow us on Facebook. If you ask a question, we'll read it aloud on the air. And of course, we want to help as many people as possible. So one of the questions we get asked a lot is about networking and networking with any business, and really not just with starting a business, but in life we network, right? And so what does it mean to effectively network? And a lot of folks, they'll join a bunch of groups or they'll meet a bunch of people and they just kind of what we call word vomit all over them. They're like, blah, this is everything I need to do. This is everything you're going to need my product. And they just can't stop because they're excited. Right. And they just want to share as much as possible, but then they get away from the human element of, I just want to get to know you a little bit better. Let's figure out what it is that you do. I'd love to share what it is that I do, and we can see if there's a mutual interest. I guarantee you're going to know somebody who could really benefit from the services I provide, and I'd love to be able to connect you with people I know. But then we've got what we call the professional networkers that make it a habit to go to every single group that's out there, and they're passing out their cards and they're gripping and grinning. And I know we've talked about this on the show before, but it really is it's something that happens all the time, right? So what we say is, and I know you've been in a BNI group, and we'll talk about that here in a second, but what does it mean when you're in a networking group, Tom? What does it mean when you're actually a part of a group? What do you look for? What are the benefits or what are the expected outcomes?
Well, that is great. And that's the problem I see with most networking is they have no expected outcome. They have no purpose, right? They're networking without purpose. They're networking for the sake of being part of this community of somewhat like-minded people, which is great to do, but you've got to have some purpose in there. What is it you're hoping to accomplish when you come out of that? When you're in a great networking group, the key to it being great is that every member of that group has the exact same understanding of what we're trying to accomplish, right? That's what's so great about groups like BNI that are stricter and they have, a lot more, organization around it is that it's very clear what the purpose of that group is. The purpose of that group is to exchange leads. Mm-hmm. That is its purpose. It's not there to just have coffee. It's not there just to get to know somebody. It's not for me to just meet a mechanic so I can get a discount on my tires. It's to pass leads every week, to be able to pass leads. And so that group has purpose. A lot of the other ones that I've been to, and you've been to a ton of them, they have no purpose. It's just a bunch of people getting together to walk around with a glass of wine and hand out business cards. Mm-hmm. First of all, I think handing out business cards is one of the worst uses of your time. We live in a society today where people will not call you, you have to call them. Mm-hmm. So I don't bring business cards to networking events, and mm-hmm. people look at me like I'm crazy. Like, hey, can I get your card? You know what? I don't have any on me, but let me go ahead and grab your number and I'll reach out to you next week. Mm-hmm. And those result in fruitful meetings. I've gone to meetings and handed out 50 business cards and I never get one phone call, right? And it's not because the people did not intend to call me. They got caught up in the busyness of their lives, mm-hmm. and they were busy handling the phone calls they received, right? Versus making those phone calls. So I stopped doing it. I go there with purpose, and my purpose is to meet people that I think are like-minded, that might provide value to my business, that maybe I could exchange business with, and to get their phone number. Mm-hmm. And then when I meet with them, we have a meeting with purpose. I hate when I hear people say, oh, I'm going to go have a one-on-one with this person. Okay, but what does that mean? Mm-hmm. For what? What's the point? What are you trying to accomplish, right? Are you going there with a very clear intention of hoping to make them a client? Are you going there to find out if you could be a client of theirs? Are you going there to be referral partners? Mm-hmm. Are you going to, who knows what, partner with them on a more professional level? But it's the lack of purpose and a goal in networking that I see most people completely, it's just a waste of their time.
Well, I also know that sometimes people will do these one-on-ones and they take 2 hours. Yeah. When I schedule a one-on-one meeting with somebody, when I meet somebody out and about and, we kind of have that exchange, I'd love to be able to sit down with you a little bit and learn more about you. One, I always say I want to learn about you because I'm never going to buy their product or their company. I'm going to buy them or I'm not. Right? So I want to learn just a little bit more about you, Tom. I want to, figure out what, what your mission is, what your vision is, and why that company, why are you doing what you're doing? So I use that language because that is an interpersonal skill. 2, I give them an hour. How does 12 to 1 o'clock work? I meet at a location where other people are there. It's never usually just that one person and myself because it can be very uncomfortable. And then what I do say when we actually sit down is, so, I'd love to learn more about you, Tom. Go ahead and tell me, why your business, why your company, and I kind of go through that again. But I set the expectation of, I'd love to be able to tell you more about me and my company as well. So let's take the first maybe 20, 25 minutes and talk tell me about you. And I ask questions. I ask a lot of questions. I listen to the answers, and oftentimes I'll actually take notes, especially if I genuinely feel that my friends and network could benefit from those services. Right. So when I'm out there and I go, man, I just met this guy. He's a contractor. He's amazing. Seems ethical. You should give him a call. See if that's a good fit for you. Right.
Yep.
But I can't do that if I don't know more about you. What I have found in some of these one-to-ones is that it is typically a one-way conversation. They just want to talk. They never ask you questions. And I measure that. How many questions did they ask me? How many did they actually listen to what I said? Do they seem genuinely interested? Because if not, there's no way I'm going to refer them to anybody else. They're very self-focused. And oftentimes, they're so focused on hitting some goal. Oh, I got to hit this goal this month. I'm $200 away, or I'm this away, or I'm almost there. And I get that. But you will benefit so much more from getting to know people and getting them to understand why you're doing what you're doing. And that's why I create that time limit. I think 1 hour is ample time, right? In B&I, our one-to-ones are pretty mandatory, right?
Yep.
And how have you run those in the past?
They're very structured. They have very clear purpose. And you're right. They're 1 hour. I think when people have these kind of meetings, to me, if you have a meeting that lasts more than an hour, you've told me that you're not a busy person.
Right.
Right. And I'm not excited about partnering up with somebody who's not busy. I want somebody that's like, they're sought after. They're in high demand. Those are the kind of people I want to be around. And so if they're just hanging out at a coffee shop for 3 hours,
right,
they're not in high demand.
Right.
They got to kind of restructure their business itself. And so for the one-on-ones that I'm a part of, it's exactly what you talked about. It's, you spend 15 minutes telling me about your business. I need to understand it. Not only in listen, here's one of the problems people make. It's not just talking about your business. It's talking about what you need in your business. That's what I hear a lot of people talk about. It's like, oh, I have this kind of business and da-da-da-da-da, and here's what we do. And blah. It's like, oh, okay, but how can I help you, right? If we're meeting, the purpose should be, how can I help your business? So that's where you got to be very clear is what is it that you're looking for? What kind of leads are you looking for? Mm-hmm. What's your ideal client base? What do they look like? See, the more specific your ask is, the more specific the results are going to be. Mm-hmm. And so you got to be very clear what you're looking for. If you and I are in separate and we meet, I'm going to give you an overview of my business, but I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm looking for. Listen, I need to sit with families. I want to sit with married couples that have a home and they have kids, right? And they're really in a situation where they need to get their finances in a better place. Mm-hmm. If I don't do that, and you're going to send me leads, there's a high probability you're going to send me people that I can't help. Right. And it's because you just didn't know. It's not your fault. You didn't know any better. And so these one-to-ones, you got to spend 15 or 20 minutes explaining more about your business, but be very clear. Again, you've got to have purpose with it. You need to be intentional. This is what I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. And listen, maybe you're trying to grow your business by bodies, right? You're trying to increase manpower. Mm-hmm. Again, you've got to be very clear about that. I'm not just out there trying to hire anybody. This is the kind of person I'm looking for. Do you know somebody that's sharp, they're motivated, they take themselves serious, maybe they have a business background or a finance background or whatever it is that you're looking for, but you've got to be very clear in these one-to-one meetings what it is you're trying to accomplish. Maybe you just want to be referral partners, right? Here's what I'm hoping. I need to have a clear enough understanding and see the value in your business to where I feel comfortable referring my friends and clients to you, and my goal is by the end of this meeting that you're going to feel the same way about mine. And that's the other thing I think you need to do, especially if you're not part of a B&I group. Mm-hmm. If you're just networking in general, and maybe not even networking groups, you're just out and about networking. When you meet with somebody, I think the first words that should come out of your mouth is, what is it we're trying to accomplish today? Right? If I sit down with somebody, I'm going to say, oh man, I'm so glad we got to meet today. But I just want to make sure we're clear on what I want to accomplish today. I want to get to know more about your business. I definitely want to get know more about you. Mm-hmm. And I would really like to give you the opportunity to earn my business. Right. right? And then the same thing, blah, 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 right back again. And then you have your meeting instead of just sitting there talking about the weather and how good the coffee is.
And that's where the time management comes in. That's where so many people sit there for hours and hours. You'll come in later and they're sitting with somebody else, and then they're sitting with somebody else, and they've really not accomplished anything. But I'm so glad you brought up the ask. That's A-S-K. Ask. But it is specifically what you need and what you're looking for. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. And we talk about B&I here because it's what we were a part of. But there are several networking groups out there. There's Up Your Leads, run by Andrea and Tim Wacker here on Thursdays at 8 a.m. But there are several networking groups out there. You just have to figure out what feels right to you. What's a good fit for you? I have found that the ones that you have to pay for, that you have to pay into, because you got a little skin in the game, people tend to take those a little bit more seriously. So I do agree with that. And then some of the other ones that are just kind of free groups or little meetups or what have you, those are great places to be seen and just kind of get to know people a little bit more. But again, if you're just out there with no purpose, just quote unquote networking, but you're not really trying to either help somebody build or trying to get people to know what it is that is driving your passion, you might want to just sit back a little bit and reevaluate what it is that you're trying to accomplish. For us, we wanted people to think when they thought about money, financial services, or any of those things, to think of Tom and Kym Welton. And that's why we're in so many different parts of the community. We're very proud of the company we're with, where we say that up front. We're not misleading. And we let people know this is what we're doing. This is our driver, and this is why we're here. And I'd love to learn more about you. And putting those words together, I think it marries things so well, and people just get it. So we're going to go a very, very quick break, but we want to come back and talk about a niche market and really how to get people to follow you and by marketing yourself. So don't go away from Lady Preneur-100.
Are you in the process of starting your own business? Ever thought about it but just haven't started? Whether you are a seasoned professional or just kicking off your dream of becoming an independent business owner, you are invited to join us for this incredible journey. Discover and become a part of this diverse group of women who aim to support, inspire, uplift, and encourage like-minded women just like you within our Lady Preneur-100 community. We're going to remove for you the mystique of entrepreneurship, show you how to increase your leads, effectively market your business, and teach you how to build a powerful strategic alliance. You can find us on Facebook by going to the IB Network or by visiting us at our website, www.successradio.us. You can also find our show on TuneIn Radio by searching for the Lady Preneur-100 Show. That's Lady Preneur-100. Be sure to follow us there.
welcome back to Lady Preneur-100. I am your host, Kym Welton, and I'm here with the very amazing Tom Welton, my husband and business partner, talking about networking groups and how to effectively take something away from a networking group and how to build your business. Business at the end of the day is about relationships. It's about people. And we've got to stop telling people to buy our product, but then neglect the relationship aspect of it. So with our experience and our exposure out in the community, we've had a lot of questions about, I'm doing all this work, but I'm seeing very little results. And we're trying to address some of that today. And one of them is about marketing. And I think people get confused with marketing. And I said it in the last segment. Nobody is going to buy your product or your company. They are going to buy you or they are not going to buy you. So that's where learning how to communicate effectively with people, learning how to be a professional business person. And that doesn't mean you need to be uptight and wear a suit and you got to be very strict. It just means understanding how to communicate with people. And one of those things, Tom, is it has to do with interpersonal communications, right? And how we communicate with people. I know that we are in the millennial era where texting is a big deal. Social media is a big deal. And I think so much of that has really made us afraid of actually calling or talking to people. And so when we are there in person to do this one-to-one appointment, it can be a little bit awkward. Right. So as you sit down with somebody, they know who you are. They know what your business is about. They want to sit with you one-on-one and learn more. What are some of the things that you can do to kind of get the ball rolling with that meeting?
Well, I think, like you said, you got to be a great question asker, get to know more about them, doing those kind of things. But I always like to find out what we have in common, right? I think commonality is what really starts to open things up. People become much more warm and receptive to a conversation when they find out you have something in common. So a lot of my question asking early on is I'm looking for things we have in common. Maybe it's our children, maybe it's sports or where we lived or where we used to live or who knows what. But I like to ask early on. I want to ask questions to find out something that we have in common. And then once we have that commonality, then we can really go down a road a lot deeper in that. I think you've got to people have fallen away from good people skills. You gotta take this stuff very intentional. It doesn't come natural, right? Your natural instinct is to talk about yourself. I see most people, they ask a question and then they don't even hear the answer because they're already thinking about their next question. Why is it when you ask somebody their name, 10 seconds later, you don't remember what it is? It's because you never even listened for the answer.
Right.
You were not intentionally listening to what the answer was. Because if you were, you would remember it. But most of the time, it's like you were already thinking about what you were going to say next as they were saying their name, right? I walk up, hey, how you doing? I'm Tom. And as they're going, hey, I'm John, I wasn't even listening because I'm thinking about what am I going to say next?
Right.
Right. And so that's their natural instinct. So if you want to get good at interpersonal skills, which obviously in turn makes you a good networker, is you got to practice this stuff. You have to be intentional about it. We teach this stuff in our office to our agents. It's a whole different habit to ask a question and actually listen for the answer.
Boy, it is so telling. I can't tell you. I've sat with people multiple times and then they go, I'm sorry, what do you do again? To know Kym Welton is to know what Kym Welton does. She's very passionate. But to tell me, I'm sorry, what is it that you do again? You have no interpersonal skills. You did not listen to anything. You're absolutely right. They get so caught up in what they're trying to say or get you to buy.
Right.
Or buy into, that they're not listening. And so, Tom, talk to me about when you first meet somebody and you haven't met them before, shaking hands. You're not going to wrap your arms around somebody and hug them. You've never met them before. Talk to me about some of the language that you use in meeting a brand new person.
Yeah. So I give a good handshake, eye contact. I sit down with them, I want to sit down facing them. I don't want to sit down next to them where we're, looking sideways at each other. I want to sit across from them. So again, something else you got to understand is your skills may be higher than the other person you're suing. That you may be the first, right, networking type person they've ever sat down with. They don't know what they're doing. So you just come in, hey, let's grab a seat here, and just go ahead and grab a seat right there. So we're across from each other, or perpendicular to each other, depending on, the relationship or where you're meeting, things like that. Sometimes if it's noisy, I'll sit perpendicular so we can hear each other.
Right.
I'm not going to sit side by side on a couch or anything like that. Right. Now, I like to, I don't know, maybe I'm a jokester. I do like to make people laugh. So I will crack a couple jokes early on and kind of see how that's responsive. Because again, I want to kind of lighten the mood. I want you to really tell me who you are.
Yeah.
I want you to open up when it comes to your business. I don't want you to give me your canned, script that, your elevator speech you've been practicing every night for the last 6 months. I don't want that. I want to know who you are.
Right.
Right. I don't chase sales. I chase relationships.
Right.
And so again, to me, it's like even from Business 101, right? What at the end of the day, I want to make 1 million sales.
Right.
But if I build a relationship with somebody, that could lead to 100 sales.
Right.
But if I'm meeting with them with a clear focus of, okay, I'm going to sell this person, a dang Roomba, right? Okay, well, what was the profit margin on that?
Right.
And then you start equating that to the time you spent setting the appointment, going on the appointment, and all the paperwork following up with that. It suddenly became not very profitable.
Right.
But if I sit with somebody for an hour and I build a relationship that turns into hundreds of sales over the next 10 years, now that was a good use of my time.
And what about cell phones? Because you see some folks, I've sat with folks who were so distracted by their cell phone, or they've got watches now, and as you're talking to them, they get a message and they do this constantly, and they're looking at their watch and they're looking at their phone. And I'll just ask, is this a good time, or do you want to reschedule? I know cell phones are very important. I use I want to be able to see the time. I do wear a watch though, but sometimes I'll let them know I've got an appointment right after this. I just want to make sure that I'm respectful of your time, and that, that we can get out of here. And I know you've got stuff to do too. But what about cell phones when people they're looking at their watch, they're looking at their cell phone? Do you say something or?
It's offensive.
Yeah.
I think it is utterly offensive. Now, if you have something that you are expecting during that hour and it is time sensitive, then you make that clear right up front. Hey, I just want to let you know, Kym, I may be getting a call from my daughter. She's got some things going on at school. If she does call, I'll take it. I will be quick. Okay. And I just say that right up front. Or, hey, I just got I got an agent that's on an appointment.
Yeah.
He may have some questions. So I'm just going to kind of, I just got to keep an eye on that. But I promise you're going to have my full attention.
Right.
But that's most of the time, that's not the case.
Right.
You're right. All of a sudden you're sitting there, you're trying to talk to them. You're getting into the nuts and bolts of your business, and they're looking at their watch. They got the, whatever, a smartwatch. And I see them flipping it. Right? They're scrolling up or doing whatever. It's offensive to me. Whatever it is on that phone is more important than me. And so why exactly did I allocate an hour of my day for you?
Right.
Right. You obviously got higher priorities than me. And so I do say something to them. I just go, hey, is everything okay? Because I noticed you keep looking at your watch.
Right.
And I certainly don't want to waste your time. If you're busy, that's okay. I'm definitely busy. So if this isn't going to work out, that's okay. Just let me know.
Right.
And usually when you do that, suddenly they realize half the time they don't even notice what they're doing.
Right.
They don't. But you did make a good point. So on phones, not all of them, the one I have right now, I haven't figured out how to do it. But the previous phone I had, there was a way to make the clock always stay on your phone. So I know a lot of people, their phone it hibernates after, a minute of inactivity.
Right.
Most phones, there is a setting you can go in that leaves the clock always on. So I am extremely intentional about that. I don't want to look at my watch necessarily, because then people notice you keep looking at your watch, right? And they think, oh man, this guy's, obviously you're too busy for me, things like that. But at the same time, I never want to be there longer than an hour.
Right.
So when I sit down with somebody and I shake their hand and I take a seat, I just set my phone kind of diagonally off to the side. I don't put it down here because then I have to look down.
Right.
I put it sort of diagonally up to the side, maybe off to the corner of my notebook in front of me. And it's just sitting there, but it has the time on it. And so I'm sitting there, and when I'm talking to them, I can glance down at my notebook. I see what time it is, and I kind of know what's going on at the time. What I don't want to have to do is pick it up and touch it to see what time it is, because now it looks like I'm checking text messages or something else.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to be guilty of that. So that's why I like having the clock right there. I hold myself. I'm busy. Even if I love talking to them, I'm not staying longer than an hour. I have somebody else I need to meet with.
Right.
So how do I do that? Because I have the clock where it's visible. Now, if maybe sit in a room, do that too. If you're in a room, know where the clock is on the wall.
Yeah.
And sit so it's behind the person. So as I'm looking at you, I can just glance over your shoulder. Right?
And etiquette. It's etiquette that really is reflective. It's marketing.
It's those people skills.
It's those people skills. 1, I'm never late to an appointment. 2, I've never just simply forgotten an appointment or been so wrapped up in what I'm doing I couldn't make it. And 3, I don't take notes on my phone because it could be perceived as texting or searching Facebook. So you have the old-fashioned pen and paper. You're managing your time, and this person wants to feel important. This person across from you, they're investing their time by spending it with you, right? And if you make them feel like they're not important or you just don't care, they're never going to meet with you again, and they'll never pass you leads again.
Right.
Your name is your brand. You are your own marketing billboard, if you will. And if you don't have the proper etiquette or manners, you really can't be taken seriously. And I see it a lot. Probably more often now than ever, just because we're so aware. But if you are a business person, you have to learn these skills. You've got to learn when to shake somebody's hand instead of giving them a hug. It's just, I see this sometimes and I'm like, what are you doing? You've never met that person before. Using their name, like, Tom, it was wonderful to meet you. Thank you for your time today. I look forward to getting back together. I know some folks, that could really benefit from the services that you provide. So give me a few days, and let me see what I can do. But letting them know that they are still in the forefront of your mind. It's critical, and it's so important. But again, some of these skills in marketing yourself and getting your name out there, I've had people go, do you know so-and-so from such and such a company? And I'd say, I do. Yeah. And they go, oh yeah, I know that person too. Man, I never want anybody to say that about us ever.
Right.
I want people to know we're genuine and we're kind, and I listened more than I spoke, and I want to hear what they have to say. And frankly, remembering the details that they tell you about their families and their future and their business is so important. When people go, I can't believe you remember that. You remember that? You remember the names of my kids? You remember where I was when I just went on vacation? You remember those things? I absolutely do. It's an art. And it's intentional, and it's critical in developing a name for yourself and relationships. So we're talking about minding your business as entrepreneurs, and we're going to come back with a great next segment. Don't go away from Lady Preneur.
Are you in the process of starting your own business? Ever thought about it but just haven't started? Whether you are a seasoned professional or just kicking off your dream of becoming an independent business owner, you are invited to join us for this incredible journey. Discover and become a part of this diverse group of women who aim to support, inspire, uplift, and encourage like-minded women just like you within our Lady Preneur-100 community. We're going to remove for you the mystique of entrepreneurship, show you how to increase your leads, effectively market your business, and teach you how to build a powerful strategic alliance. You can find us on Facebook by going to the IB Network or by visiting us at our website, www.successradio.us. You can also find our show on TuneIn Radio by searching for the Lady Preneur-100 Show. That's Lady Preneur-100. Be sure to follow us there.
Success Radio USA is always looking for ways to help you succeed, whether it's offering a word of encouragement or sharing practical information that can give you the competitive edge. So you'll want to pay close attention to this. Our new sponsor, the 365 Grand Club, can give you the edge when conducting business in downtown Colorado Springs. You might want to entertain a potential client or just show appreciation to a loyal business partner. Either way, your new 365 Grand Club card is your passport to downtown Colorado Springs. Springs. Your club card gives you access to discounts, business perks, making new business connections, and the convenient private concierge service that makes getting around town hassle-free. Enjoy the benefits of downtown with ease and prestige. Get your club card today by visiting www.365grandclub.com. That's 365grandclub.com. Get yours this week and join the club, the 365 Grand Club.
Thank you and welcome back to Lady Preneur-100. I'm your host, Kym Welton, and I'm sitting here with Tom Welton, my business partner, best friend, and husband. And we have a question coming to us out of Wyoming. Tom, you want to go ahead and read that?
Yeah, it's from Bonnie Jardier, who's a great friend of ours. She has an enormous business in upstate Wyoming. She's now expanding down to Arizona and ultimately going nationwide. But she had a great question. She said, at what point do you interrupt someone to prompt them that you have another appointment to get to? And Bonnie, that's a great question and something that Kym and I have seen over the years that a lot of people get stuck. They get trapped. They get trapped in that appointment and they can't get out. And I think there's a couple things you can do to help prevent that. Number one is be very clear right up front on when the meeting's going to end. So I do that on all of my meetings. When I get there, I go, hey, I just want to let you know I have other things going on. This meeting is going to only last 1 hour, and I have to leave at, let's say it's 8 o'clock. Okay. And so I do that. And then I remind them as we start to get closer, when we're 15 minutes out, hey, I just want to let you know I do need to leave at 8 o'clock tonight. So I want to make sure that we get through all the things we want to talk about. But here's the biggest thing that I see what happens is they start talking too much and start answering questions. See, and you learn early on in business that if you're the one asking questions, you're the one in control. And so I control and steer a conversation and its time limits based on my question asking. When suddenly the other person starts asking questions and now I'm the one answering their questions, they're now in control. I've lost complete control over that situation and they can take it anywhere or how long they want to, and you almost feel stuck. And so again, you've got to be very clear. Hey, I'm glad we got to meet. I just want to let you know I do need to leave at 9 o'clock. I have another appointment to get to. As it starts getting closer, I remind them again. But ultimately, I should be the one steering the conversation through my questions and their answers. So, Bonnie, hopefully that helped.
And that's a great thing. I know that sometimes people are very long-winded, and as I said, I always allow them to go first. I want to hear what they have to say. I want to hear what their product is or what have you. But as you're getting close to the end of that hour and they're talking a lot more and they're probably cutting into a little bit of your time, that reminder of, I just want to remind you I have another appointment, and then making sure that you can share what it is that your business is. And before we run out of time, I'm really excited to share with you what it is that I do too. So being able to say those things and taking back control of that hour, because people they love to talk, which is great. But if it's going to be an effective one-to-one networking appointment, you need to take some control in that. Well,
and I would say this too: if I'm having a networking meeting with somebody for an hour and 60 minutes went by and they never really got to the part where they ask about me, I have no interest in being a network partner, right? Because if they met me for the first time and we just spent an hour and they never once wanted to find out more about me, what do I think the odds are of them actually referring business to me?
Exactly.
Right? It's not going to happen. So that's a clear sign too. It's like, okay, hey, listen, it's 8 o'clock. I'm sorry. I got to run. It was great meeting with you. I have no interest in really pursuing that relationship because now I understand their personality and it just isn't going to align with my business.
And then at the end of the day, you have to understand that networking is about building your market, helping people achieve their goals. You have to be a trusted partner if you're going to actually be effective in networking and getting your name out there. But every referral has your name attached to it. So the way these individuals sit with you across the table, you must presume that's how they're going to they're going to communicate with the people you put them in touch with. And if they're a me, not we personality, then I don't know. I would really think long and hard about referring that person out. They're not going to listen to their client's needs. They're probably going to overtalk them. They're probably so focused on some goal. They're not going to get to the root of what that person actually needs. So at the end of our segment here, I want to talk about being in an industry that you might feel is a little oversaturated, right? I think we've all felt that in at some point, like, man, everywhere I turn, there's somebody in my industry. But how do you create a niche market, Tom, when you were talking about standing out? And it doesn't have to be a niche market, but just really taking certain things into account to make sure people continue to work with you, refer you, meet with you, trust you as the industry grows with other similar experts.
Right. I think you got to figure out what makes you different. Mm-hmm. I sat with a gentleman a few years ago, and he had worked for a carpet cleaning business for years, and he was ready to go out on his own. He wanted to start his own business cleaning carpets. And I had met with him to kind of help mentor him and put together some business planning. And I said, I asked him, I said, what makes you different? And he was a little bit stumped by that. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, listen, first of all, if you've been with this company for the last 10 years, why would I switch and go with you and your new company instead of staying with the one that you've been working at this whole time? And then once I said that, then he started writing down all these things that was going to make him different than them. And I said, that's what you've got to market, right? Especially if you're in an industry where there's a lot of people, real estate, right? There's a ton of realtors, and in financial services, there's a dang financial services person. You can't throw a stick without hitting one. But what makes, Welton and Associates different? What makes your business different? What about you is unique? And you got to figure that out, and you got to target that. Maybe you're cheaper than everybody else. Great. Then that's got to be your marketing, right? Maybe it's a better quality service. Maybe it's more hands-on. Maybe your hours are better. Maybe you're more responsive, right? Your customer service is better. Something. You've got to figure out what gives you a leg up. What makes you special? There's got to be something special about your business. Right? Like you said at the beginning, they don't care about your business. They care about you. Mm-hmm. What makes you different from all your competitors? And that's what's going to blow up your business. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, saturated. It doesn't matter. There's brand new people making $1 million in any industry. It doesn't matter what it is. The industry could have been around for 100 years, and they just started yesterday. But if they figure out what makes them special, they'll take it to the next level.
I find that so many folks just starting out their business, they get away from some of the traditional things that work. For example, a business plan, having a short, mid, long-term business plan. Basically, what do I want to achieve this week, this month, this 3 months, 6 months, 1 year from now? And for whatever reason, they're just basically chasing sales. They're not business people, they're sales people. And I tell people very clearly that you want, if you're going to be a business owner, that is not self-employment. It is different.
Right.
Self-employed means you wake up broke every day. Business ownership, however, means you're making money while you sleep. So we all may start out self-employed, but if you have reached a level where you're now getting this income in and you're not even really working, now you've made it to the next level. And that's, again, you have to understand that if people see I'm self-employed, well, if I was the type of self-employed where it required me to use my hands every day, but then I broke my hand and I could no longer do my work, I'm just out of work. I'm not a business owner.
Right.
There's nobody else going to come in and do that for me. And so in minding your business, you need to be very clear on what it is you're trying to achieve. Am I going to continue to be self-employed, or at some point do I want to be a full business owner? And if so, I really need to take the steps to be successful at doing that. I've got maybe employees or clients, or somebody's going to be relying on me to provide services and so forth. So Tom, talk to us just a little bit about how to evaluate the market when starting your business. For example, The economy. If you started a business, one of the things you should consider is, in the event of a lower economy or a dragging economy, how is that going to affect my business? Are people going to stop buying my product? Are they going to look for something cheaper? Are they going to go somewhere else? Are they going to go to maybe Walgreens instead of buying it from me directly? What are some of the things, the key basic things that people should keep in mind as they're starting their ventures?
I think there's two things you got to look at. One is you need to be very clear who the demographic is that you serve. Mm-hmm. And I see where most people struggle in this. They don't even know who their client base is. Right. And I've done, I don't have time to do it now, but I've done studies with companies like Mary Kay and all these different companies where you really break down what is your specific demographic that is your client base. You need to know what that is. That's the only way to target the proper demographics, is to know who is it that buys your product or your service. The second thing is exactly what you said. I look at, if I was going to go start a new business tomorrow, these are the two things I'd look at. One is who's going to buy my product. Number two is, how does my business react in a down economy? And listen, if your business goes down in a down economy, that's okay. A lot of businesses do. But it needs to flourish equally in an up economy. Mm-hmm. And I see a lot of businesses where they tank in a down economy and then they just kind of stay flat in a great economy. I want a business that, if it is going to be sensitive to the economy, that it's sensitive in all areas, right? When the economy's doing great, the market's doing great, man, I can't keep product on the shelf. Everybody's buying it. I'm sold out every week,
yep.
Right? Because then, right, you make money while the sun shines, right? But I see there's so many businesses out there where as soon as the market goes down, that's the first thing they stop buying, or they cancel their subscription or whatever. But then when the economy's rocking, they don't really feel the growth of that. And that, to me, that's a very dangerous business to be in. Mm-hmm. That's one that I'm not going to sleep well at night. And so ultimately, you want one where you're protected from just about any kind of economic shift, right? You want one where people buy it when the economy's struggling and people have to buy it when they're wealthy, right? I always tell people, the greatest business you could be in is selling air, man. Like,
people need it.
People got to breathe. Right? That's what's so great about our business, right? Is at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if the economy is doing good or bad. People need help with their finances. People need help getting out of debt. So that's what's been good about us. But the reason we got into this industry is because we did what you and I were just talking about. We evaluated the business. I understood who my client base is. I understood who buys my product. And I understood what's going to happen depending on what happens to the economy.
Some of the other things that you really have to take a look at as you're looking at these ventures is, what's the inventory requirement? Does it require you to purchase upfront inventory, and what is the charge for that? Because if you bring other people into that business, are they going to have to do the same thing? And oftentimes this creates a lot of dissension in the household. The wife wants to go do a business. She spends, $1,500, $2,000, maybe even less. But anytime you have to purchase an inventory and keep that, is there an opportunity for it to become shelfware, where now you bought it at 50% with the expectation to sell it at 100% to make a profit, and you couldn't get rid of it, and now you had to sell it at 50% just to break even, or donate it or give it away? That's not a bad business structure to have. It's very lucrative, but you really need to evaluate where you are personally with your finances. What's the inventory expectation? And is there a monthly minimum requirement to continue to purchase that inventory? So every month, if I couldn't get rid of it last month, am I going to struggle with getting rid of it this month? So you have that issue as well. Economic changes, we talked about that. And is there a monthly, or is there a membership that you must be a part of in order to get these products and services? And are you having to sell those memberships to other people? Again, not bad things, but in evaluating your client base and the market you're trying to appeal to, some things that you just kind of want to keep in mind. And if you're in the right market for the right business, it doesn't matter what you're selling. Again, they're going to buy you, and you're going to make sure that the people understand the product. and the expectations. So Tom, thank you so much for being with me again today. I learn from you every day, and you're an incredible leader in our office, always sharing amazing nuggets of information. And I'm just so grateful to have you at my, fingertips. I can always just reach out. But I want to invite our guests to follow us on Facebook at Lady Preneur-100. Let us know what you want to learn about, what you want to hear about, whether it's about businesses, partnerships in business, how to grow your market and your network. We'd love to hear what you'd like to learn about. We've got a great partnership episode coming up. And of course, the health and wealth that'll be here in February. Once again, I'm Kym Welton, your Ladypreneur, and I want to thank you for joining us today. Thank you.